You are on the line with your host, Juan and Rykno, and of course my brother, my partner in crime, the Rhino, Ryan Knowles. And tough loss on the road, Rhino. Two in a row, after a home loss to UCLA, a drubbing by Oregon State.
4 in a row.
Yeah, well, I was saying two heartbreakers, and then you get the third one with USC, which, like you said, leaves four losses in a row.
I know you wanted that one.
Yeah, it leaves really a bad taste in your mouth, and it's not the Patron shots we were doing at Firehouse on Saturday. Just defensively, a heroic effort at times.
Oh, yeah.
Two fumbles recovered.
The defense has nothing to hang their head on.
Two fumbles recovered.
This to me is more on the offense.
Yeah, 3 interceptions. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You get 5 turnovers on the Trojans, you think you're going to win the football game, but game is tied at 14 apiece right now, and talk about what happened after that, because after Carl Bradford's probably the play of the year, things just went wrong for ASU.
Well, the second half just was not kind to the Devils' offense. I don't know if it's just USC short up the defense a little bit, but basically after Carl Bradford's interception, they got
36-yard line.
They got a field goal. They got a field goal, then a turnover on downs, 2 punts, 2 interceptions to end the game. Yeah. That was it for the offense in the second half. So that is completely unacceptable. For them to go out there and just kind of stink it up the way they did in the second half.
It was almost ominous because Bradford makes that play right now, makes that great play. Yeah. Even everyone at Firehouse went nuts. Everyone was like, "Oh, geez, did we finally turn a corner in the second half?" Taylor Kelly, completes a pass to Chris Coyle to get down to the 6-yard line, and then a 10-yard sack. We talked about that in the first segment. 3 guys in his face. He's going backwards, falls on his back. They had to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
That should have been 21-14. That could have been a backbreaker.
Yeah. Offensive line was very inconsistent all game. Like we said, they allowed the 7 sacks, only 71 yards rushing for the game. That's terrible.
That's just
that's not high. Another game where ASU really started strong. They forced a turnover on their first
4 games in a row. They start off strong.
First defensive possession. They forced that fumble on Marquise Lee, and then the offense was just anemic in the second half.
I almost pray they don't get a turnover in the first series against Washington State.
Even just a punt would fine.
That'd be like an ominous omen.
You want to force turnovers.
Absolutely,
you want to play well, but you got to maintain
we're
that.
0-4 with turnovers.
Maintain that intensity for the whole game.
And you hit it on the head right now. It's intensity. You got to be able to keep up that tempo. You got to be able to adjust at halftime. And unfortunately, USC with 21 unanswered points,
I know.
and they just walked away with that win.
They just really
one of the most frustrating second halves I've ever seen.
It starts with Taylor Kelly. He was 19 of 30, 174 yards and a touchdown. Very pedestrian numbers for that right there. But then he also threw 3 interceptions, 2 in the second half on their last couple drives, which led to 10 USC points there in the fourth quarter. And then, this is basically his 3rd bad game in 4 weeks. I really just questioned the decision-making. He looked lost, overwhelmed, poor decision-making. He really should. There was a couple times there where he should have just handed the ball off. The blocking was good up front, and he kept it. And, I talked about the offensive line, but then also the play calling was really kind of. You and I kind of touched on that a little bit during the game, and they only ran the ball 35 times. 16 were with Taylor Kelly, and so DJ Foster again only had 5 touches.
And Cameron Marshall only rushed the ball 6 times. Are they keen in on these guys now and taking them out of the game?
I don't know
because of that lack of speed on the edges.
I think you need to be able to get the ball to these guys a little bit more often than that. Cameron Marshall, was he's good in the first quarter, but then he only had 6 rushes. They're getting too cute too many times. Throwing when they should run, trying those gadget plays like Devon Coleman on the drive.
Yeah, you don't do that on 3rd and short.
And the defense really kept them in the game. They wore down late with the offense putting them in bad positions, but they forced 5 turnovers. Brandon McGee, we talked about Carl Bradford, who I felt like played his best game as a Sun Devil.
And we'll only get better.
That Alden Darby pick 6 was huge for them. So they really had no answer for Marquise Lee and Curtis McNeil. Lee had 161 yards rushing, and then McNeil with 163 rush yards, another 100-yard rusher given up by the defense. They've got to shore up that run defense.
Absolutely, and
I think that's the kind of the missing link to them being an overwhelming dominant defense.
And I'm sure Coach Randolph's going to address that this week against the Cougars. So that's what happened on Saturday, folks. We're going to let it go. It's gone. I don't want to talk about USC.
On to the next one.
On the next segment, of course, we're going to start getting into the Devil's details as far as the Wazoo Cougars, the Pirate coach, coming to Tempe.